Hello and welcome to the Tea Party Hardy channel. Well, if you've been looking for another reason to diss California, or to get out of California, or to never go to California, have we got some news for you. A school district in California, just east of LA, here's their plan for coming back to school. Some Glendale schools plan to bring students back to the classroom, but not their teachers. Okay, here's the lovely setup they have with the computers and the headsets and the social distancing. Okay, let's see how this plays out. You're gonna love this. Most of the schools in California will not be reopening for in-person education this month, but one superintendent in the Los Angeles area has come up with a plan to welcome some students back to class, and it doesn't involve their teachers. You are about to hear the dumbest idea in educational history for today. On August 19th, when Glendale Unified School District kicks off the academic year, 20 of the district's elementary schools will open some empty classrooms for remote learning. Then they're not empty classrooms, reporter. Duh. But instead of traditional 24 students per classroom, how is that traditional? There will be no more than 12 there will be no more than 12. Okay, so there's 12 kids in the class. School officials are calling the group a technology pod. Okay, fine. Which will be supervised, here it comes, by a single substitute teacher or district staffer. So Glendale is going to have the children return to the classroom, open their computers, turn on their computers, put on their headsets, and learn, supposedly, from their teacher on the computer with a substitute teacher or staff member right in front of them. Please raise your hand if you can explain to me why it isn't the real teacher there doing that exact same thing, and instead of wasting all that money on computers and headsets and the enormous amount of chemicals they're going to use to keep spraying them down throughout the day. That is the dumbest idea in education today. You have the adult in the room. Why aren't you using the actual teacher? Let's find out. The staffers won't be teaching the students. We know that's a lie. I just did summer camp. Yes, they will. If you've ever done online teaching or online learning, for example, guitar, you can't show the whole instrument of the guitar on the camera and still allow the viewer to be able to see where the fingers are on the frets and the articulation of the different strings. That's why when you watch guitar tutorial videos, the camera has multiple different angles in a lot of cases so that you can see. Whereas in real life, you can see it right there. You're sitting there and you can see it. Or standing there if you are in a situation where your teacher doesn't like sitting, whatever. So that's that. And then, like, if you're doing math, being able to see the students' work to help them, show your work online, do you understand how insanely hard that is? On Zoom, to see it? First, the kid has to hold it up to the camera, then the camera has to focus on it and remain focused. I will tell you from teaching online, it rarely happens that they hold it in place long enough that it's in focus. So anyways, it's a disaster. So the point is, the human being that's in there is going to actually be doing the teaching. But here's what they say. The staffer won't be teaching. Yes, they will. They will instead be present to offer computer technical assistant, monitor students' mask use, enforce social distancing, and keep students focused on their work. Pretty sure all of those things are actually duties of a real-life teacher. The content that teachers provide, sadly, is such a minimal amount of what goes on in the classroom. The maximum amount of what goes on in the classroom is classroom discipline. It really is. And everybody that's been in a class as a student or a teacher knows, yeah, that's true. Okay. The superintendent, Vivian Echion, don't know how to say her last name, said she came up with the idea. Oh, she's so brilliant. Let's do school without the teacher, but still pay the teacher and now pay this new person. Nice. And all the air conditioning bills, because it's 100 degrees, 103 degrees right now in LA. Superintendent Vivian Ekashon said she came up with the idea after noticing that many young children of essential workers didn't have the proper child care when schools were forced to pivot to remote learning in March due to the Cody. A couple of things to think about and notice about that comment. The superintendent of school, the thing she noticed wasn't that the kids weren't getting an education. No, that's not even listed. The thing that the superintendent of education noticed was the kids weren't being in what she's calling child care. In other words, all those derogatory remarks that used to go around about teachers just being babysitters, the superintendent of Glendale Unified School District in California agrees with them. She agrees that school is for babysitting and child care. Wow. How'd you like to work for that lady? Oh, but don't forget, she's brilliant. She decided, let's bring the kids back to school, but hire an additional teacher to be there to not teach, but to enforce all the rules and actually be able to stand over their shoulder and say, here's how you do this and here's how you do that. Yeah. So this is the genius. But remember, to her, school is not about an education. It's about child care. And the reality was, when we changed to remote learning, there wasn't a place for them to drop off their kids. So this, at the elementary level, is really an opportunity for childcare, for our parents who can't stay home with their kids and need a safe place where their students can continue to learn while they're away or looking for a job. Next question. How is it this brilliant woman isn't asking, how come our teachers aren't considered essential? How come these kids are so desperate to have a daycare, childcare, because their parents are out working, and yet the teachers aren't out there working? Why is it the children can have all their parents working, but the teachers can't be working? Why aren't teachers essential workers? Why aren't teachers going to work? Why aren't, if you've got people out looking for a job and you've got people going to work in such mass numbers that their child care was taken away from them, not their education, according to the superintendent of this school district in California, why can't the teachers be there? And of course they can, because there's a substitute teacher in the classroom. The sub's making a few bucks. Of course they can. What a waste of money. How the idea came to life, really? No. More importantly, how the idea needs to just die. But at least you can take this into consideration about California. At least there's not a plague going on. Because, you know, if there were a plague going on, that would be way worse than the high taxes and the schools being so corrupt and having all the students there in a sub. Yeah. But at least there's not a plague. So that's the good news. We'll see you in the future.